All right, we're good. Take it away. Calm before the storm.
You expect Amarion to be asking you all week to let him shadow Nash wherever he goes. I know that worked with Ricky White. This kid's obviously he could be a serious problem for you guys. What game plan options there?
Yeah, I think Amarion always wants to guard the best guy on the field, so I'm sure that's crossing through his mind. He came up and popped in already this morning, and but yeah, we'll definitely. There's always got to find a way to take care of who their best personnel is and what they do best, and obviously he's a really good football player.
Statistically, literally the number one receiver in the nation. What's the challenge like, and how I don't know if exciting is the right word, but how much do you guys embrace going in that challenge?
Yeah, I think when you're when you view yourself as a really good defender, as a really good defense, as a really good team, you embrace those challenges. Some weeks it's going to be in the run game, some weeks it's going to be the quarterback, some week it's going to be a receiver. This week we got the opportunity to play a really good receiver. I think we looked this morning. I think he's trying to hit the Triple Crown. I think he might be number one in yards, catches, and touchdowns right now. So obviously a very, very good football player. Obviously they've done a really good job scheming with him, and then we've got to do some things to help our guys out just versus their scheme and versus that personnel.
We kind of say it with Genty, when teams try to stop him, but for teams to know about him, game plan against him, whatever, and he still averages almost 10 catches, 130 yards, and a touchdown every game. I mean, just how good is he?
Ashton?
No.
Oh.
Nick Nash. I'm saying we see it from the other side.
Ashton's really good.
Teams try to stop Genty and they still can't. And I mean, teams are obviously game planning to stop Nash, and they haven't been able to yet. When he's averaging 10 catches, 130 yards, and a touchdown every game.
Yeah. I don't know. I think if you limit him under double-digit catches, and he's still going to get the ball. Like that's very clear. They're going to find a way to get him the football. I don't think you can truly take him out of the game because he plays the slot receiver, because you have some run fit issues. Like it's a little harder than when somebody's like an X to take him out. So he's going to get catches like that. That's going to happen. We just got to limit those. A lot of his yards, even you watch on film, people almost have a bracket on him, and he makes one guy miss. Anytime you've got brackets on somebody, everybody's eyes are looking away from that ball, so you've got to do a really good job of tackling, and even if he catches the ball, to limit those yards after catch. You can't let one of those get explosive just because there's so many eyes everywhere else. So I think that, obviously he's going to have a couple catches. They have to get him touches on the ball, but how can you limit his yards after catch, and how can you limit those catches to a manageable number?
They've been able to get the ball to him with two different quarterbacks now. Just what do you see from both their quarterbacks, and kind of what's the difference in play between them?
Yeah, I think they've both done a really good job, and I think just like I know their offensive coordinator, I've known him for a while. Growing up in the run and shoot, coaching the run and shoot, all those kind of things, you find a way that system. Not to say that these guys are system quarterbacks; they're very good players. They've both done it, but in that system, when the quarterback is on the same page with those receivers, when the timing is really good, when the leverage reads are really good, those quarterbacks, those receivers have a way to find each other. And I think that their coaches have done a really good job of coaching the quarterbacks within the system and giving them a great chance to get some open throws, to get some targets where they need to get them.
Between Ricky White, Jalen Royals, and Nash, you guys have played, I think, 3 of the top 20 receivers in the nation. Just always playing these top guys. How's it helped you guys develop, or what have you learned about the defense as well?
Yeah, I think that you have to see some of those things early to test yourself. Number one, obviously we went and played Oregon early, and they got a pretty good crew of receivers too. But seeing those things and just understanding, we can play with these guys. This looked like one thing on film, and it's another thing to see it live. The receivers we practice against every day, Latrell Caples, Prince, Austin Bolt, all the other receivers that we have, those guys are giving us a great look. They're as good as the guys we're seeing every day. Have confidence in my technique, have confidence in the scheme, have confidence in the other players that may be my leverage help. So just growing in that, all 3 of those phases, I think, has really helped us.
Where would you rank your pass defense right now, maybe the last couple of games? I mean, obviously the overall stats, I think you're 110th still, but I mean, how do you look at how it's progressing?
Yeah, I think in conference we've done a better job of defending the pass. I would say it's still a work in progress. I still think that it's a great group of guys back there, shuffling the lineup a little bit, but those they've improved every single week. I thought from game one to whatever game we just got done playing, I couldn't even tell you what number that is, but those corners, the safeties, the nickels, the dimes, those guys have really improved every single week, and proud of what those guys have done.
Last week, I was talking about Tubes and how valuable he is, and wearing the green dot and his communication. You say that you could throw more at him than just about anybody else. Try not to speculate too much here, but you've used Zion when Alexander hasn't been available. Is that still the plan? And if so, why does that suit Zion?
Yeah, I don't know if there is a plan right now. Our plan is you have unlimited green dots in practice, so we are going to try a few different things, and depending on how we configure the lineup, not like people are getting benched or anything like that, just how we need to configure this grouping to get the best guys in the best positions is probably going to have a lot to do with it more than just what person's there. We need a guy that can communicate to the most people. So after we figure out exactly by the end of the day what's the best lineup, where are we going to place these people, then we'll probably try it on a couple different guys and see who can communicate the best, not necessarily who can take the information, but who can get it to the others the best out there.
In a way, your options are somewhat limited, though, right? Because if you look at snap count and stuff like that, it was Zion, Tubes, and Ty. You got to have your green dot on the field, obviously, right? For most of, if not all, your defensive plays, I would assume. It would be harder to rotate in a game, I would assume, right?
Yeah, but now you're going to have someone, replacing Alexander. Hopefully we'll get that MRI back and he'll be fine. Hopefully he'll be out there. That'd be awesome. But if somebody has to replace him, then that person's probably going to have to play a bulk of the game, and they could potentially wear it as well.
What does he bring most to the table? And again, not trying to speculate, but if he's not out there, what do you lose most, or what's hardest that you have to replace?
There's a lot. His knowledge, his effort. Seems like if something's about to happen that maybe is not a correct fit, or even against, even against San Diego State, they ran that hook and ladder versus man coverage. That's not what you want to be in. And he came and sucked that thing up all the way from across the field. He covers up a lot of that. Not to mention the fact, I can tell him stuff in the green dot, hey, run up quick and tell the D line X. And he'll run up there and he'll tell those guys, that's going to be a lot for some other guys. So the information we give him, whoever's wearing that green dot, will probably be limited compared to what it was to Tubes.
Not to say you're going to change your whole scheme, but Michael Callahan was telling me last week you guys do a lot of what you do because he can play safety, linebacker. He's just so versatile. So what challenge, if a guy like that is out, what does that force you to have to do defensively in terms of changing things?
Well, I think, this is a different style of offense anyway, so, you have to do kind of what you need to do each and every week. But, Shea's went in there 2 games and operated really good kind of at that spot. And if that's what we need to do this week with Shea, he'll do a great job. He's a thick, strong kid. He's physical. He can play the safety spot. He can kind of play that overhang linebacker spot as well. But I think he's done a great job when he's went in there for Tubes.
Good. How about Marco? It's been a few weeks since we asked about him directly, but his amount he plays, because what you guys do probably is a little bit less than what he expected maybe going into the season. But he always seems to do something good for you guys when he's on the field.
There's no doubt about it. You would be hard pressed to find a clip where Marco is out of position. Hard pressed to find a clip where he is not doing his job. And as we all know in football, when you do your job really well, plays seem to come to you. And I don't think he does anything extraordinary. He does. He does the ordinary things extraordinarily. And because of that, those plays seem to come to him, and it just seems like if there's a fumble around, he gets on top of it. If there's a tackle that needs to be made, he makes that tackle. So, Marco's very, very important to this defense, very important to this team. He's playing special teams right now. And Marco is as good as any player on our defense.
We asked you about it too this season, but just continue with Ty Benefield too. I mean, he's still such a young kid, but his play continues to get more and more steady, it seems.
Yeah, he's a special player. He's got great playing radius, which gives him a lot of range, which is kind of why we moved him to the third level instead of last year as a freshman. He was kind of playing on that second level. But he's got a ton of range, a ton of ability, a ton of speed. He's only going to continue to get better. Like we have Boise State Bronco fans, coaches, teammates have not seen the tip of the iceberg with Ty Benefield yet. He's got a lot of room to grow, which is very scary, very optimistic, but he's an exceptional football player.
You mentioned kind of like Tubes' versatility, but like what's his versatility look like? I mean, what you guys do sometimes, I mean, he's in coverage or like man-to-man at times a lot for a safety and things like that. So how versatile is he?
He's very versatile, and I think that, with depending on what happens here with Tubes, his versatility is going to have to get shown a little bit more in the next upcoming games. We're going to have to do a little bit more with him, which is a good thing. It's a good thing for us. It's a good thing for him. But he's going to have, expanded role is probably not the right term because he plays about every snap anyways, but he's going to have a more versatile role, I think.
There are two outside guys. Ahmed, stat-wise, the last couple of games hasn't been showing up a lot of numbers. On the other side, JVM might be playing his best football ever. Is he feeding off double teams for Ahmed? Is he just playing better? Is Ahmed getting kind of stuck? What's going on with the two outside guys?
No, JVM is playing his best football. There's no doubt about that. Ahmed does a ton of things for us that don't go in the stat sheet. And to be quite honest, he pressured the quarterback. I don't know if missed the sack is the right term because we got the sack, but he kind of, he bounced off the quarterback. Somebody else got it. So he's still pressuring the quarterback. He's still allowing teammates to get sacks. That fly sweep he hit backwards and 3 other people tackled it for loss. So he's doing a lot of things that aren't showing up in the stat sheet. But JVM is playing his best ball. Ahmed's still playing at a very, very high level.
Kind of obvious answers, Eric, but how big were those turnovers, especially the one at the goal line? I mean, a couple weeks ago it was the lack of turnovers that you guys couldn't force, and those are 2 massive ones against Nevada.
Yeah, there were two huge plays in the football game. You could say it about a lot of plays, but if we don't get those, it's gonna be hard for us to win. Really proud of those guys for fighting all the way to the goal line, staying in the fight. Coach D says 3 or nothing all the time, and to come up with nothing is huge down in the red zone. So just really proud of the way those guys fought. Really proud of how many guys we had around the ball when it was on the ground. That was a great thing. We probably had a couple more missed opportunities for turnovers that would have been crucial to get. Obviously, the 4th down miscommunication was not something that we enjoyed. We got to get fixed, but really proud of those 2 turnovers.
I guess the answer is probably no. But is there a magic number in terms of total yards you allow? I mean, you just look at the last 3 out of the last 4 games. The opponents have had under 320 total yards. I mean, that would seem pretty good. I know that you could have 500 yards and 10 points. You could have 100 yards and 50 points or whatever. But is there a correlation there where you walk away and say that's a good number?
Yeah, I think so. Like, the game is changing so much, like forever, and it's still on our quote-unquote goal sheet. But the way the game is changing so much, it maybe needs to be revamped or whatever. But 300 yards is kind of, that's where you're like, yeah, you're playing pretty dominant football. Under 300, so we've been just over that. Yards per play, yards per rush is probably a more realistic stat line. But right now we're pretty close to what our quote-unquote goal sheet says on a week-to-week basis.
Thank you.
Coach,